All right, thanks for that, Innocent. Let's look at some commodities now. We see eggs are a staple in household diets globally, providing an affordable and accessible source of high-quality protein. But in Nigeria, we've seen the price of eggs surge by 100% over the past year, rising from 3,000 naira to 6,000 naira per crate, far outpacing the food inflation rate about 37.77% in September. Joining us now is Tomiwa Ajewole, is an analyst, financial director's company. Great to have you, Tomiwa. So what key factors are driving this sharp increase in the cost of what should be a cheap source of protein?
Yeah, thank you for having me, Ladi. With the factors, I don't even know where to start, because the business environment for poultry farmers currently is not favorable. And what we're seeing now is just a rise in the cost of production, and farmers having no choice but to just pass that burden on to consumers. Because, when it comes to egg production, feed mill, which is for the hens that lay the egg, makes up about 70% of the total cost. And right now, we're seeing the raw materials of this feed mill, which are mainly agricultural products, by the way, like maize and soya bean. We're seeing their prices skyrocket. Maize is currently going for about 700,000 to 800,000 naira per ton, which is up 50% from last year. And soya bean is almost 900,000 naira per ton now, when last year was 450,000 naira per ton. So, we're seeing all this increase in price. Nigeria's agricultural output is low. There's insecurity in most of the areas where we farm. And of course, the weather the environment is also not favorable for planting. So we're seeing this rise in all these input costs. And even if we want to look at importing these raw materials, the naira is now back on the slide, currently trading for about 1,725 naira per dollar, from about 1,600 naira per dollar about 2 months ago. So that again just discourages importation to break down the price. So farmers with this facing this cost of production, to protect their own profit margin, they have no choice but to just pass on this price, this increase, to the consumers. And just even if we look away from raw material, just petrol, price of petrol just went up, recently. That increases cost of operation, that increases logistic and transportation costs, and those are the factors that farmers are just dealing with, the poultry farmers are just dealing with. So having no choice but to just pass on to keep them, to increase the incentives to continue to produce, they'll have to pass this burden on to consumers,
right,
as well as have eggs in the country.
And I'm sure at some point consumers would, even though they get passed on most of this cost, they'll just pass it back, somehow, tired of, rising prices. But talk to me about what you think is the way forward at this point. How we know at the end of the day, everything just seems to point towards the dollar, and the naira. What do you think the government can do short term?
Yeah, we're going to focus on one of the key factors, which is the feed mill and the inputs. There's nothing new under the sun, and the smart thing to do is always to learn from history, to learn from others who have faced it. And India currently is the third largest producer of egg globally, and in 2020 they faced exactly what Nigeria is facing now. Our price of egg was going up, was increasing, and because input cost was increasing. 2020 was the COVID year, and there were supply chain disruptions that led to the increase in the price of inputs. But what India did was that their government stepped up. They subsidized feed mill, and they also facilitated distribution of other alternatives of feed mill, such as rice bran and broken rice, and also they put a ceiling on the price of eggs. So one thing that Nigeria can do, obviously, we have to look to the government. The government has to step up. They remove subsidies on petrol. We have extra revenue. We need to start subsidizing production. Feed mills can be subsidized. We need other alternatives to the feed mill, and also again, apart from feed mill, just generally improving the business environment in the country. The government they brought in this initiative of the import duty waiver, but with the naira depreciating, that negates the gain from the import duty waiver. So of course the naira is a key issue. There has to be long-term strategies to actually improve the naira, not just short-term strategies, long-term strategies like increasing oil production and things like that. But apart from that, going back to the agriculture and poultry farming, even there itself, we need to improve our efficiency in that sector.
All right, Tomiwa, thank you so much. I guess at this point, save the naira, save us all. Thank you for your input there.
Thank you for having me.